in those 200 biographies, I found seven things that all these people had in common. And and so he really kind of took me and shaped me. And one of the things he did was started me reading. I had never really been that much of a reader. I was more of a Sports Illustrated, Field and Stream kind of guy,
Right there with you. Yeah.
and and so he got me started reading biographies,
Okay.
and I eventually read over 200 of them there before venturing out,
Sure.
and in those 200 biographies, I found seven things that all these people had in common. And I didn't even really know what to call them at the time. I just call them things. I
Ooh.
knew they weren't habits. I knew they weren't characteristics. They weren't ideas. They weren't even mine. These were just things I recognized and identified. But it was curious to me that it seemed that two or three of them were always actively used by these people. Um, Now there were seven. I mean, when you read 200 biographies, that's a pretty broad stroke to carry. But when I would see two or three evident in their lives, and then two or three evident in somebody else's life, I got the idea that I wasn't finding anybody that I knew that had all seven. Or wait a minute, I wouldn't find it anybody that knew they had all seven.
Roger that.
They all
Okay.
had all
Right.
seven. It was just that I'm not sure that all of these people had identified all seven. They just kind of naturally acclimated themselves to several of them, but they really harnessed two or three.
Right.
And so I got to thinking, what happens to somebody who knows all seven? What happens to a life that understands all seven? What happens to a child whose parents know all seven of these things? And what happens to that kid? And so I began to really apply those seven in my life, and that's ultimately how I got out from under the pier.